All right, so we are looking at today's performance today. The stock market went up 0.68%. Um, and we're kind of back to normal a little bit in the sense that when it goes up 0.68, we go up 2.6. Now, it's nice to have a day where it's positive. Let's just be honest about that. It's always good to, have a positive day. Even though that's not really the focus in the short term of what we're looking to do. But we're going to talk about kind of one main theme today, and that's we're going to be a little contrarian, not, I was going to say counterintuitive, but more contrarian in how we're going about it. There's a term in risk management called a falling knife, which means if you have a knife in your hand and you drop it, it's much more difficult to catch the knife in the air, but there's people are a lot more impressed with that, and there's more payoff for that in a sense when you catch it in the air, and you're the only one that's going to even try to do that, versus letting the knife hit the ground, and then there's no risk in it, but anybody can pick it up, and there's no payoff for that, right? Nobody cares. Who cares if you pick a knife off the ground? So one of the things that we're looking at here is the fundamentals outside the stock market. So I'm not. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not a big day trader when everything's going well because, well, a number of things. You have high frequency trading, so you have computer algorithms, putting a ridiculous amount of trades back and forth. You have the short seller army that Elon Musk hates. You get a little wonky where people are just so much into PE ratios and all these other things, which have value to them. But then realistically, I used to be the compliance officer for a Fortune 500 company, and I was one of, what do they call it? It was like exclusive access or limited access personnel. So like there's certain people that you basically have to get approval for trades ahead of time. And then there's like the handful of us. I think there was maybe 10 of us in the whole company. I mean, maybe. And this is 5,000 head count company. And there was like 10 of us, and I was one of them. And I'm not tooting my horn. I was kind of annoyed with it. But we would only be able to trade our stock 8 days a year. So, and those are going to be every quarter. You have a quarterly earnings announcement. So let's say it's January 1st. I could trade January 2nd and January 3rd, and then I can't trade again until April 2nd because the earnings announcement's on April 1st. So I say that because I worked in corporate America, and if you ask me, hey, Matt, do you have any inside tips on your company, or is there any ability for you to like trade on inside information? I mean, I had a lot of inside information, but not enough where I could go, oh my gosh, I could go, if you let me, I'll go trade my stock and I'll just make $1 million. It doesn't work that way. It just does. I didn't know it. So I'm like, if you take companies that I don't know anything about them, on the inside, and their corporations, especially publicly traded ones, are notoriously closed-lipped about what they do. You're fighting a battle that you just don't want to fight. And so I only came out to do this day trading because COVID came in, took all the risk out of the market, and if you're going to sell me a $20,000 car for $4,000, I will be happy to take it. I have no problem doing that whatsoever. So with that being said, the big thing that's weighing on the market, obviously, it's been weighing on the market off and on to various degrees, has been COVID. So one of the things you want to look at is the stats that are coming out. Again, we talk about the fact in the beginning they talked about death counts and hospitalizations, and it's mainly because the media loves the shiny object. And if you say squirrel, they're going to go squirrel. They're going to immediately turn because they don't care about the truth in what they're saying. They don't even care about being unbiased anymore. They just care about ratings. So if you say anything that will get people's attention and make them watch, then they'll do that. And so the death count was up there, and then the death count went down, and people started opening, and it's like, wait a minute, people, and this is literally how they think. Wait a minute, people aren't going to watch us anymore. There's nothing left to worry. Bars are opening, restaurants are opening, businesses are opening. There's actually traffic on the freeways again. At least here in San Diego, there's somewhat traffic on the freeways. That's a problem for them. They don't like it. And so they're going to hype up anything. And so all of a sudden, when the death counts are down, and then all of a sudden the testing goes through the roof, then you're going to get more positive cases. And it's not that there's more positive cases, it's just that you're testing and you're finding out about more positive cases. So with that being said, one of the things we're finding is that the positive tests are going up. And I would say even the rate of positive tests is probably going up a little bit. Well, one, because the society's opening, so you kind of expect it would go up a little bit. You know, if you let somebody out of prison, they're going to hang out with more people than if they're in their jail cell, right? But beyond that, you have protests, or, you know, where all the vandals and the rioters and there's peaceful protesters, but, you know, there's a bunch of hoodlums out there too. Trust me, I grew up with them. So nothing against anybody in particular. I grew up with people like that. And so you put 100,000 people in the streets in close proximity, and you're going to pass this disease along. It's just going to happen that way. There's no getting around it. And so the number goes up. The average age went from like 68 or 72 or 75, whatever it was. Now it's down to like mid 30s. And it's interesting, in the state of Florida, where everybody's freaking out about, their top age for people that get coronavirus is 21 years old. I mean, like, there's more people are getting coronavirus, testing positive for it at 21 than anywhere else. And they don't really have any deaths at all. And so what we're finding is the media is pumping up all this stuff about testing, and the governors and the politicians just want to feel like they're doing something. So they're just posturing. They're a bunch of little mannequins with the little, you know, marionette strings and everything. And what's happening is that this is a big false alarm happening. What you're going to see in the next 2 to 3 weeks, hence the thumbnail on the video, is you're not only going to see the deaths down, because you're going to see the deaths down, and you're going to see the positive cases go back down, or at least the positivity rate go back down. But here in San Diego County, I ran the stats. I'll check this out. So we'll pull this up. And they have a paywall, so hopefully I don't have to, we won't run into the paywall. So they do a great job on this. So this is like a data statistician's best friend. So all year long, we've only had 399 deaths. That's been in February, March, April, May, and June. And almost 5.5 months, we only have 399 deaths in the county. And this is a county with 3 million people, okay? So cumulative cases by day, and this is mainly by testing. New cases by day, and they were like, oh my gosh, it doubled. But you can see it went down to here and up to here. So, you know, your average is probably right around here on that line. And then we go to the testing, and guess what? That's exactly where the average is on the trend line. So the test positive goes up as the test number goes up. And the positivity rate was about 3%, and then it went up to 5%, which, again, you know, you have people protesting and out on the streets and things like that, and even in bars, and you can't expect it's always going to be 3%. And if you believe in herd immunity, and I'm not a scientist, I don't know whether it's a real thing or a myth. If it is a real thing, then you want this positivity going up as much as possible, because you want to get people to get it and get them out of the way. But when you look at the cases, where you look at hospitalizations over the whole time, cumulatively in a county of 3 million people, in 5 months, there's only been 1,900 hospitalizations. And the number of deaths, like I said, is only 399. You look at bed capacity. Check this out. In San Diego County, 6,000 beds are available. 400 are being used for COVID. So, like, it's a joke. Like, it's the biggest media thing where it's blown out of proportion. But we're going to get into crazy things. So look at the deaths per day. 1. They had 1 death the other day. 1 in a county of 3 million people. Age distribution. If you're under 50, and we're going to get into this, it's like you just have almost no chance of getting it, right? Now, if you're over 80, that doesn't spell any good news for you. Here in San Diego, they're all by the border, right? This is the deaths that are all in the southern part of the county. All of them, when you look at them, do they have underlying medical conditions? It's yes. Pretty much all of them are yes, right? Age distribution by cases. Check this out. If you're under 50, you're going to have, what is this, 13, 17, 20 deaths divided by, what is this? Check this out. 4.2, I ran this before. Plus 3.334 plus 2.534 plus 11.24 plus 4.71. 11,694. So if you do 20 divided by 11,694, this is the fatality rate here in San Diego. It's 2 people out of every 1,000 that get it die. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's way lower than flu. If you're under 40, 7 people in a county of 3 million people have gotten it. You know, it's just ridiculous. It's like if you're in this area, 3 people, like let's say you're from 20 to 23, it's basically 1 out of every 10,000 people. So if you have a basketball arena where they see 20,000 people and they all have COVID, only 2 of them are going to die. I mean, it's ridiculously low. So the reason I bring that down is because we're sitting here and we have a false suppressor of the market right now, which means that in the next few weeks when this starts to clear out, and it may be the next 2 weeks, maybe the next 4 weeks, we'll see. But you're going to see the cap come off this, and you're going to start to see this go up the same way that it did earlier. So the same way that it did when you start to see the country start to open, you'll start to see it go up just like this, right? And this is where the deaths went down, but the cases went up, and people just follow the media, and it's just a false sentiment. It's quicksand. You're not building your house on anything solid. It's just being built on sand. So with that being said, it's important to get your portfolio where you want to get it. So today, I went in and looked at the upside, and basically we're doing pretty good. These are the ones, we'll talk about velocity in a second, but basically these 3, before I did that, I didn't own anything on them. Dave & Buster's, I'm going to wait a little bit. Texas Hospitality, we're doing good on oil so far. But velocity is stock that's really important. They do mortgage financing. And so one of the things that I found this past weekend is we went to get my wife a car because her lease is expiring. And so she ended up finding this killer deal up in Buena Park, which is just north of Anaheim here in Southern California. And so I was talking to the guy, I'm like, his business has been busy. He goes, "You're no kidding. Business has been crazy." I'm like, "Well, what about like at some of the other dealerships?" He said, "Well, I have a friend of mine that works at, I think it was Nissan or Honda or Toyota or whatever." And he said, "They're dead." And one of the things it made me realize I wasn't surprised about that was that people with money are doing well. They have resources. They can take advantage of discounts. But people who are struggling, the coronavirus has hit people on the lower end a lot more, so they're struggling more. Well, the reason this is important is Velocity is a mortgage finance company. And what you're going to find is you may find people that are buying a home, but you're more likely to find people that are refinancing their existing mortgage right now because the rates went down crazy in February when the Fed just dropped it to pretty much 0. So at some point in time, you're going to see them put up some positive numbers, and I think they're going to blow out expectations for what they're doing. Plus the fact that it's almost a 4-to-1 multiple for upside, I decided, okay, we're going to put an order in. And so I put an order in today, and I didn't care if I missed it by a little or not, but I put an order in at $375, 500 shares, basically bought $2,000 with it, and it went in. And I don't really care what it does today because it's going to be, it's a stock that I wanted to get. Beyond that, RDI, which is Redding, finally came through, and we got that sold. So that's good. We've freed up some money right there. And then beyond that, there wasn't really anything that jumped out at me as far as what I wanted to invest in. The one thing that I did have is the Everyone. That's the ATM company. So we're going to get that, at some point. Maybe at $4.50 I might adjust this, but we're definitely going to buy this again. I did buy a little less than I had before. I just wanted to make sure I had a good stake in it. I had like $8,000 in it before, but we kept it at $5. And we'll take a look and see what we're going to do. But a bunch of these stocks we have are barely under what we bought them for, which is fine. And then we have some that if we decide to buy them, we have room to lower our cost basis. But overall, I'm not looking at this on today, but in the next few weeks when you start to see all the cases clear out and then the deaths are already just plummeting in the country, then people are going to look up and say, okay, you know what, it may be time. And then on top of that, you have baseball starting and basketball starting and football getting ready to start. And people are going to be a lot more optimistic. And that's in spite of the craziness that we have an election in November. So Lord knows what's going to happen with that. But anyway, so don't believe the craziness. Don't believe the media. Seriously, if you're watching media, if you watch, I don't care where you watch. If you watch CNN, watch the people that they don't like. Watch Fox News. If you watch Fox News, watch CNN. But realistically, all of them are corporate media. I used to work in media, so it's not me saying just this piece of propaganda. I used to work in there. They're owned by large corporations. They are heavily paid for by pharma ads, and they have a very, very strong agenda on what they want to do. But if you go to independent media as well and look at it, you want to try to look at any dissenting voices you can find, and they're going to give you the real story. And like I said, I went to the paper, and they could have easily just said, oh, cases double, and made it a big editorial and a headline, but they actually give the raw data. And the raw data tells me that I was telling this to somebody the other day, this is the time where they're clearing out the suckers. So if you're ready to quit, or if you're ready to cash out and you're thinking, oh, we should be making more money, or the market's been down, or I don't like Matt's numbers, whatever, this is the time where you clear out the suckers. And if you get out now, by all means, do what you got to do. But in about a month or two, I'm aiming that we're going to see this in triple figures. So we'll see if that happens. But I'm telling you, I grew up with a bunch of people that taught me about the concept of clearing out the suckers, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So with that being said, look at the market. So it's never super high now, basically a little bit over positive. So it doesn't mean a whole lot. We're going to look at it later. And realistically, it's a 100% foolproof number, but it's pretty good. It's a good sentiment. We start to look at this. Bed Bath & Beyond plans to close 200 stores. Again, retail is going to be tough. So, I don't ever buy retail. And then we don't have any stocks here as far as things that COVID are impacting. So take a look at it tonight, see where the market's showing. But overall, I'm telling you right now, this is the time where you want to clear out the suckers. This is the part where you want to make sure that you're getting your cost basis down as low as possible. And when the cases start clearing out, because all the people that tested, that went protesting or vandalizing or rioting or whatever they did, they're not going to test positive anymore, because they'll have been asymptomatic, because most of the people that are getting it are in their 20s, and they're just not going to be touched by it. And again, you saw that one where it was 443 people or 400 and something people in hospital beds, or 6,000 in San Diego. I mean, and they're like closing businesses here. Like, they're telling breweries they have to close. And I'm like, you're insane. You're absolutely insane. So don't make that mistake. Vote with your wallet and get yourself set up, because the next few weeks we're going to make a lot of money together. With that being said, see you tomorrow. Oh, one last thing. If you want to get, if you don't have a Robinhood account, sign up for one with the link in the video description. And if you want to check out and go through my my spreadsheet in a lot more detail, then by all means do that. There's a link in the spreadsheet for that. And you can also copy it, save it, use it for your own, change it, improve it, do whatever you want to do, steal it. I don't really care. But just get started and let's make some money together. To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy, so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.